coming up on this beautiful continent of Africa, and the political and the social and economic, of course, a lot of things that are happening on this continent today. We may not have time to talk about everything, and of course there's no issues of interest to the African people. And we thank you for your time that you will be following us for the next 2 or 1 hour plus time that we are going to be on this set. In the studio, I'll be having my sister here, Rachel Takali, and also Ndug Mazima Akol. But as usual, we begin our program. Apparently today, again, we are not able to have Ndugu Garama, who he told me this morning he will be babysitting, so he will not be able to be with us. Rachel, that seem not to believe that men can babysit. So Ndugu Garama is babysitting until next week. I think that babysitting in turns. So this week is his turn to babysit. But we'll be looking at a few issues that, of course, have come up on this continent of Africa. We do that by starting our program looking at generally what has been on this continent. And to do so, I will welcome Ndug Akol to tell us what he has seen in the continent before we go to our main topic.
Well, there are a number of developments on the continent, and especially in East and Southern Africa. Just the attempted coup in DRC, you see in South Africa, the politics now there, and of course next door in Kenya. Because now next door in Kenya, we are seeing the Vice President, Rick G, as he calls himself, or as he's popularly known, quoting Uhuru Kenyatta. You know, during the elections, he was hard on Kenyatta. But now he's trying to quote Kenyatta. Why? Because he wants to consolidate the Central Kenya vote. He actually wants to show that now he's the new kingpin in Central Kenya. Perhaps this could help. It would actually increase his chances of succeeding Ruto at the right time. So you see, in Kenya, when you're a political player, you must ensure that a particular ethnic group, a particular region is actually solidly behind you. That's when you know that, yes, now you are one of the contenders for the top seat.
Do you see him doing that successfully?
Of course, he has started the journey now. You see, just like when Ruto started this, people looked at him as a joker. So you never know how it ends. It's a question of playing his cards well. So since the Kikuyu National Central Kenya has particular blocks. So since he comes from Nyeri, now the Nyeri block is solidly behind him. Now he needs to look at Kiambu, Kirinyaga, and then Murang'a.
Yeah,
so now once he gets Uhuru, it means he has now Kiambu behind him. So he'll be left without the Murang'a and the Kirinyaga. And once he has those done, now he has.
And when they ate Uhuru's goods and cut trees, what will happen? But of course, at the same time, when you mention Nyeri, when you mention Kirinyaga, every other time you mention is a name that comes up in those areas, and most of those areas seem not to be very close or not likely to be close to him.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's why he's now playing his cards, trying to reach out. Because when you reach out to Kenyatta and you make peace with Kenyatta, implying that now you have Kiambu.
But why do I have this feeling that along the way they are likely to disagree with his principle?
As I said, of course, it is still early to conclude which side it will take, but at least he is trying to move in that direction, to consolidate his backyard. Maybe before now he can project himself as the next kingpin. Just like in Western Kenya, where Mudavadi and Wetangula, you see everyone is trying to position
themselves as the next kingpin of the area. Just in case the nation says that, look here, now we need the next president to come from Western Kenya. So you can see all these things are really coming out. That even at the coast, you see Joho is also
not resting.
He is not resting, showing that this time around also the coast and the Muslims need somebody to come in. As a serious contender.
I definitely support them on that.
Yes.
Yeah,
so this has been their politics in Kenya, and what Gachagua is doing is right. But also, we are also seeing the president going to the US, I think, also trying to consolidate the relations between Kenya and...
But even before he goes, are you sure we are not changing the constitution?
Well, of course, changing the constitution may either not be in this term, it may be something that will be discussed.
Rachel,
thank you. Yes, I think locally there is also a matter of interest where we know that feverish activity is underway in our own parliament, where attempts are being made to unseat commissioners of parliament. 4 of them.
signatures are not coming by.
Well, I think they have given themselves until the end of next week because parliament is in recess. But that is a new development. There have been a number of concerns about how parliamentary business has been conducted so far. But for MPs to now take it upon themselves to see that there is a correction of some of these things, it's a new one.
Yeah, but Rachel and Akol, you can also agree with me. I think there is also a need to look at some of the laws that govern this country. Because, like one who asked a question, who is going to be the IGG of the IGG? Now, when you, in an institution like a parliament, let alone self-regulation and setting demarcations, boundaries for itself, I think that there must be another authority that to oversee what happens there. Of course, there's a relationship that when parliament have disagreements, they can refer to the judiciary, fine, or sometimes within themselves. But I think, like now, until the time that MPs are now saying, I think this is wrong. Some authorities from somewhere else should have seen that happen, and maybe that would fasten and polish the system further.
Well, the technicalities aside, if this particular effort reaches the logical conclusion, it will be a meaningful attempt to correct some of these excesses.
Okay.
I think the Parliament of Uganda has had excessive leeway in terms of how they conduct their business, especially in relation to how they disburse resources within the institution.
They agree how much they want to get.
However they want to do it. But I think there's a realization within the Parliament that not only is there a concern outside Parliament, the concern is even reaching across borders and so on and so forth. So I think it's a desperate attempt to arrest the souring situation. I think it's a good thing.
So, okay, let's look at it this way. If it succeeds, who stands to benefit?
Parliament. That they have at least owned up to their mistakes, some of them.
You know, my thinking is that actually censuring the commissioners is not going to solve the problem. That's actually dealing with the symptoms. Because you have a parliament that has the power to determine how much they should take home. I think they are in a very, very tempting situation. Very, very tempting situation, because they know that elections in Uganda are very expensive. So since they have the powers to determine how much they take home, they will always increase. So it's not about this parliament, that even the next parliament will actually do the same thing. So in my thinking is that it is the right time that Uganda thought of establishing a salaries and remuneration commission. A commission that is actually going to sit down and know how people should be rewarded for their services in the country. Because now we are in a country whereby people of the same level in different government organizations earning differently. And I think that is some kind of, it is absurd actually, that we should have a commission that will know, look here, if you're a driver in government, this is how much you get. If you are a member of parliament, this is what you are supposed to get. Because now look at the legislative organs we have. At district level, we have the district council. But do you know how much the district councillors get? It's something at times, as somebody was saying, that they earn like, is it 150 or 200, and they only get it when they are having a meeting. So implying that when they are not having meetings, they do. But remember, these are the people who are closer actually to the real wananchi.
In fact, someone was saying that you can do without your MP for quite some time, but you may not do so without having a council, a chairman of the district.
LOC1, a chairman LOC0, or the district council. You get. So these are some of the things that we need to look at. And yes, if we look at the local government structure, definitely we have a very elaborate and a very good local government system. But when it comes to rewarding, a chairman LOC5, in my view, plays a bigger role than a member of parliament.
Yeah, because you can have a district which has 10 MPs.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, yes. But how much does the chairman LOC5? Actually, one MP earns more than what the district chairman, his executive, and the councillors, just one member of parliament. So these are issues that we need, as a country, we need to look at, that there is, because I don't blame the MPs, that every other person, because human beings, we are selfish in nature. That once there are no checks and balances, once there are no strong rules and institutions, you'll always be tempted and want more. You always want more. So it's important that we can have a commission, a separate commission, that can actually look across and say, look here, so that actually what the rewards given are matching the services somebody's offering.
Exactly. Rachel, you were saying something.
I was saying that for countries such as this one, with its many accountability deficits, it's unprecedented for the very people who have been responsible for these excesses. Because really, these are MPs who are saying that, yes, we have overreached ourselves. Yes, we have abused public trust. Yes, we must do something. How far they go in correcting this situation, we remain to see. But I think for us, there has to be a starting place.
Sure.
The response is belated for these. It's been many months since these particular commissioners gave themselves at least $100,000 each. They even added some few more dollars to their salaries, which is really terrible. But that aside, across the world, there are also interesting developments. We had the response of Prime Minister Netanyahu to the issuing of an arrest warrant from ICC. ICC, in recent years, I think, has been attempting to correct its image as that pursues errant African leaders, and them only. When they came after Mr. Putin, we were like, okay, that is a European leader. Now they are now saying, okay, we also need Mr. Netanyahu and some members of the Hamas leadership. He was very bitter, but I also don't know how far they can go, because Israel and America refuse to be part of ICC for obvious reasons, because they're notorious for excesses.
Yeah, but they have had a number of standing arrest warrants over people's heads. Some of them have even lived and left power without being arrested.
Because they lean on, they don't have a police force of their own.
Of course, they have.
So they lean on the goodwill of the nations through which these people go. But that speaks of the interesting nature of global politics these days. There were things that could not be spoken of. There are things that you could not dare even think about. Because really, this is the firstborn child of America, Israel. So to really talk about America, addressing Israel in any fashion is to be talking about his father. And what is even one of the more interesting developments is that the particular, the person responsible for this trend is actually an American.
Of course, the chief judge.
So they are very, very upset in America. How could this person do such a thing? But I think it ties in with the times.
Yeah,
people are feeling in a better mood to challenge the existing order. People are saying, who died and left these nations God? They are not God. They make mistakes, and we've been seeing these mistakes. It's about time we address them. So this really ties in to the issues we'll be addressing later. But it speaks to an emboldened world that is not the Western variety.
Yeah.
People are sick and tired of treating the same path. Because it's Americans who say that if you do the same thing over and over again, expecting different results, you are surely mad. So the people of Asia and the people of South America and the people of Africa are realizing that we will never get a better deal unless we take this bull by its horns.
Yeah, that will be one way of looking at it. But of course, the other way is this polarized political environment where a person comes up from nowhere and then begins to assume the leader. And we have seen this happen not only in Africa, but we are also seeing this happen even in the European circles, and we have seen this even in the Americans now. Because if you look at the way things are moving, and if Trump can be able to make it back to presidency, or that he's even able to, if he doesn't get that close back to presidency, it shows you that a number of things are not the same. Because you wouldn't expect that would have happened in America, where the systems are very strong, that once your term has ended, you may or you may not, but also the character of the person is very key, because the political party is looking at the salesperson, a person who is going to be able to sell their party, but also their policies. Now, once they see you as not measuring up to, and by all standards, I'm sure President Trump has been a very big problem within his political party. In fact, at one point, he looked like he doesn't even belong to that party. But you know, Americans are funny, that they can, once they know you have some power around you, especially when you have money and you have connections, you definitely can carry the day. So we are seeing that happen in Africa. But of course, we are now looking at those the environment of entitlement, the politics of entitlement, feeling that if you are not, then no one is. And that brings us back now to the discussions that we are going to look at. We are looking at, especially beginning with the Tshisekedi. What wrong has he done?
I think Tshisekedi, legitimacy issues continue to hound him.
But he got handsomely the votes that he brought him to the now current dispensation.
True, but remember, he also came in on the wings of his father's legacy the first time around. It was really a sympathy vote. It was not on account of political clout that he built over the years. And I think what happened to him in the first term was that he did not meet the expectations of the people of that country. And of course, if you're president of Congo, that is a very tall order. This is a country, a vast country, with not just conflict, but also infrastructure issues, proper exploitation of their capacity. Those issues have plagued them again and again. But that is not even to speak of the politics. The politics has been checkered, including coups here and armed struggle there, and then incessant Western interruption in the history of that country. So, Mr. Tshisekedi, the promises in the first term were not adequately catered for. And I think among those was always this question that has been persisting for many years, pacifying Eastern Congo. There was an overreach in terms of trying to get other powers to help him answer this question, but even that has not worked out that well. So for him, he's short on answering the questions. He even tried to correct some of the issues that came from his predecessor, Kabila, in terms of contracts that he says were not properly negotiated with some of these mining giants and so on. So Congo continues to get the short end of the stick. The Chinese have been there, but the returns have not been convincing for the people of Congo.
Sure.
The Americans are also there. Everybody's in the mix. Everybody's profiting, but the people of Congo. So much so that they even went to the point of saying the UN, the interventionist force, or is it peacemakers or peacekeepers?
If there's peace to keep.
Some said they became exploiters of the materials they found in the ground. Did not help matters either. So, becoming the president of Congo is a tall order on a good day. So much so that the problems are so entrenched that they cannot be addressed in the short term.
Sure.
They cannot even be meaningfully moved in the medium term. And yet people who have suffered so long over so grievously over so many years, they're rightly impatient for a better life.
Sure.
So when you come, and you know politicians, when you're itching to get into the corridors of power, you make every promise under heaven. You say, look, building a road from here to 700 kilometers from here, 2 days. And of course, in the moment, because you're desperate to get a better deal, you agree. But even you, in your private moments, you know that that was never going to be possible because there are no resources, the organization is poor, maybe even the know-how is not there. So you're saying, where did Tshisekedi go wrong? Tshisekedi went wrong when he did not properly appreciate what Congo is. He doesn't just have the people to account to. He also has eternal competitors who have refused to withdraw meaningfully from the political equation. And by that I mean Kabila and whoever works with Kabila. Kabila, remember, was not a willing, he did not willingly exit the corridors of power. It was pressure from Western powers, among other things, even the people of Congo. So it is not as if he actually appreciated the fact that Congo needs a smooth transition to the next governor or the next prime minister. So he has remained behind the scenes, trying to influence, trying to decide who the next prime minister will be, trying to decide who the speaker is. Unfortunately, this spills over into where we are now, trying to manage the politics of a country without actually being the one in charge.
Yeah, but that also is very common, especially in this hereditary politics where a person sometimes feels like, as part of the negotiation, say, you give way, but we shall we shall
Yes,
be.
we shall see what follows. So,
But-
Kabila was of that variety. He really underestimated Tshisekedi's capacity to hold on.
Unfortunately, yeah, that's true.
And Tshisekedi also underestimated the problems that DRC is facing. So, in the short and medium term, whoever takes the seat, or whoever sits, whoever is calling the shots in Congo, will face similar situations because of the history of that country, because of the current issues.
Yeah, Bwana Cole, then what brings up this coup attempted?
Well, the problems in Congo can be attributed to an unnatured succession politics, an unnatured transition, an unnatured democratization. You see, in countries where we've seen stable transitions as a result of a democratic process, there has always been a strong leader somewhere who has nurtured that at least 2, 3, or 4 leaders. I'll give an example of Ghana, that when strongman Jerry Rawlings said, look here, he came in through a coup, but he said, okay, let us democratize. When his term ended, he had his candidate, and the candidate lost elections. So when he loses elections, John Kufuor comes in, serves, but when still Rawlings is alive. After John Kufuor's time, you see, there comes in another person, okay? When the mentor is still alive of the process. So that is why you find that now they have stabilized in their elections, their transitions. Now they know it's after this one is coming in. There was somebody to oversee. The same thing with Tanzania, because Nyerere was alive when he hands over to Mwinyi. He still was alive to be consulted. Mwinyi hands over to Mkapa, okay, and then eventually, eventually it passes on to Kikwete, but that was long after he had passed on. So, the fact that somebody is there to oversee, somebody they respect as a country, and say, look here, this is the founding father of this particular process, and they will always respect. Now, the situation in Congo is that Kabila did not leave willingly. There was pressure internally and externally that actually internally the Catholic Church stood seriously, and we saw very many priests actually dying because they stood and said, look here, if you served your 2 terms, so much that he even tried to delay the process.
Not tried, he did.
He actually did, yes. So that to extend his term as he was delaying the process, and then had elections. Even when the elections were held, that the person who was expected to win flatly the elections is not the person who was announced. And Tshisekedi came in as a compromise candidate, not because of him, but because of the legacy of the father. So they thought perhaps he would use the legacy of the father to stabilize the country, and I think unfortunately he has not done that.
And I think has tried.
Yes, but he has not really done that to the people's expectation, because he already had a good name of Etienne Tshisekedi, that he would actually use that to really stabilize Congo. Now, the issues that are coming up in Congo is that, one, we have a group that still has power hangover. They still feel they have to, because they thought they would use Tshisekedi to come back through the window and the ventilator, but has not worked out now. So that is now a group that is still there. Now you also have Tshisekedi, who also wants to consolidate. Remember, he was not the popular opposition candidate to win the election, and he has not fully brought the opposition on board. That in countries where you find that an opposition leader wins an election and smoothly runs the country is where he brings on board all the forces, just like Chakwera did in Malawi, that all these other groups were brought on board, or just like you see this man HH in Zambia, that all these other groups were brought on board. Not only these other groups, that even within the Lungu's party, that people he found that yes, these are people I can work with, he brought them on board. So every other time you begin purging out key people and you feel you can come with your small group and manage society, then you're bound to get what? To get problems. It's like in 1986 when NRM took over power. You realize that the message was all what? All inclusive. Yes, all inclusive. And they looked at individual merit. Your merit, how do you merit to serve within the new dispensation? And actually, that is how the movement system got acceptability. That even much as the movement, it was baptized the movement system, but it was one party system in disguise. But actually, people accepted it because it gave them a new hope. There was a new hope for everyone, not for the people who not for the liberators, but for everyone. So every other time you get an arrangement that is that excludes others, that is not all inclusive, you're bound to get those kind of problems. So in short, I think is that the issues is that unnatured democracy in Congo is actually the biggest crisis.
Now,
they will need time. Maybe Tshisekedi's successor, or the successor to the successor of Tshisekedi, that will peacefully try to govern Congo.
Yeah, because there are many other issues in Congo other than the leadership issue. There are many other issues that have put that country to that trajectory. And they need to reboot a lot of things. Because
what you're talking about, they say like society rises and falls on leadership.
Exactly.
That if you have a leader, a strong leader, he will know how to bring on board all the various forces. You see, all countries have overriding factors in their country. They have so many overriding interests, so many interests at play.
Exactly.
But now a good leader is one who's going to know how to balance those internal interests with the external pressures for the benefit of his people.
Now we'll look at the attempted coup. Who do you think benefits from this?
But even before we go to the attempted coup, there's something that Amazima talked about, the place of strongmen in African politics. It has only worked for those countries where the strongman has read the times correctly and exited in a smooth way. Because when you talk about the Libyan question, he was a strong man of many years, but I think he did not read the times correctly. As a result, there are people who came in and we know what the end was all about. Ever since, that country has been in turmoil. Further out, that is not Africa, in Iraq, the same. There was a strong man there for over 20 years. He also did not read the times correctly, and the end has not been good for Iraq. In the case of DRC, the initial strongman was Mobutu. Mobutu was there from 65 to 97, which was over 30 years. Unfortunately, he did not use his position for the good of the country. We know he was preoccupied with self-enrichment. He was preoccupied with serving the interests of the white man.
Because the one who brought him.
Well, there are people who are brought by the white man, but they took a course for the better of the country as a whole. But as a result, Kabila the First, Laurent, with the help of others, Uganda inclusive, Rwanda and also Angola,
Tanzania.
helped to push Mobutu out. But because it was an untidy end, and it is talking about the failure to resolve the political question in an organized matter, in an organized way, it haunts a country. And even that Kabila was also forced out in an untidy way when he was assassinated by his own bodyguard in 2001. His son, he was there for nearly 20 years. So it is not for lack of strong men who have stayed at the helm for long in Congo to ensure a transition, but they have not had a vision for that country. They have had a vision for themselves. It makes a difference. It doesn't matter how long a leader is at the helm. If he does not have a vision for the country, a refined one that is bought into by the masses, disaster awaits the country. This has been repeated again and again. Where there is stability in cases like Zambia, because we know the independence leader, Kaunda, he was there for many years. But he had set the groundwork for others to take the country forward. They've been going ever since. We know Tanzania, there was a strong man who also set the groundwork. But we are saying that in the case of DRC, the latest manifestation of the crisis in leadership is, of course, this, what they say is an attempted coup. But it has a history of unresolved political questions. Whenever that happens, the outcome cannot be good.
When we come back, we'll be looking at this attempted coup and, of course, many other things that we should be looking at on this continent of Africa. And we'll be looking at where do we move, where do we go after this? Has Congo a future? Has any of the African countries do we have a future as African people? But that when we'll come back shortly, so please don't go away. Stay with UBC. We shall be back after this break.
PDM, changing lives.
Hello everyone! Welcome back to Uplift Official. Today's video is particularly important as we delve into natural ways to support cancer prevention. While there's no guaranteed method to prevent cancer, incorporating certain lifestyle choices can contribute to overall well-being and potentially lower the risk. So, let's jump into the top 10 natural ways to support cancer prevention. Number 1. Maintain a healthy diet. Fill your plate with a rainbow of fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and lean proteins. These nutrient-packed foods provide antioxidants and essential nutrients that support overall health. Next up is regular exercise. Engage in activities you enjoy, whether it's walking, jogging, or dancing. Exercise not only helps maintain a healthy weight, but also boosts your immune system and promotes overall well-being. Number 3. Maintain a healthy weight. Maintaining a healthy weight is crucial. Excess weight, especially around the abdomen, is linked to an increased risk of certain cancers. Aim for a balanced diet and regular physical activity to achieve and maintain a healthy weight. Number 4. Quit smoking and avoid tobacco. If you're a smoker, one of the most impactful steps you can take is to quit. Smoking is a major risk factor for several cancers. Avoiding exposure to tobacco, including secondhand smoke, is equally important. Number 5. Limit alcohol consumption. Moderation is key when it comes to alcohol. Limit your intake to 1 drink per day for women and up to 2 drinks per day for men. Excessive alcohol consumption is associated with an increased risk of certain cancers. Number 6. Protect yourself from the sun. Protecting yourself from the sun is crucial for preventing skin cancer. Use sunscreen, wear protective clothing, and avoid prolonged sun exposure, especially during peak hours. Number 7. Stay hydrated. Staying hydrated is often overlooked, but plays a vital role in overall health. Drink an adequate amount of water daily and limit sugary drinks and excessive caffeine intake. Number 8. Manage stress. Stress management is essential. Practice techniques such as meditation, yoga, or deep breathing exercises to reduce stress levels. Chronic stress can have a negative impact on the immune system. Number 9. Regular health checkups. Regular health checkups and screenings are crucial. Detecting potential issues early can significantly improve outcomes. Don't skip your scheduled appointments with healthcare professionals. Last, but certainly not least, prioritize sleep. Aim for 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep each night. Adequate sleep is essential for overall health and may support a healthy immune system. And there you have it, our top 10 natural ways to support cancer prevention. Remember, these lifestyle choices contribute to overall well-being, but they're not a substitute for professional medical advice. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more content, and share it with your loved ones. Thanks for joining us today, and I'll see you in the next video.
Yeah, welcome back to this program of Pan-African Friday coming your way from UBC Studios here at Nile Avenue in the heart of Kampala. By the time we left the screens, we were talking about what is happening in Congo and looking at the history of Congo, that partly the problem of Congo is Congo itself. Congo itself, because it has all the resources. Whoever is holding a phone, whoever is doing something to do with now heavy machines, including airplanes, we are using minerals from Congo. But that, I think, is also problematic enough, because everyone would want to have the peace of Congo, but Congo itself, its people are not benefiting. To the contrary, that now has become a cancer for the people of Congo, because whoever comes want to exploit, but also even leadership is also being exploited, or the leadership could have also joined the exploiters. And some of the problems that we're having, I'm not talking not only about Congo, but this the chronic problems that Africa faces today. And the African leadership need to look at this as a big problem and then to address. So, of course, we also had the unfortunate, talking about the coup in Congo, but also had the unfortunate incident of in which we lost the president of Iran, who died in a helicopter crash, and I think the burial was yesterday. Could see people were definitely touched with that death. Of course, that's also a whole story of where to where, who. A lot is happening there. But as we were signing off for the break, I think Rachel was talking about that the problems we are seeing today in Congo, we are just looking at the surface, but there is the deeper end of what is happening on the surface, including now the attempted coup, which was there, which he is saying it was not even a coup, he was calling it something else. So where do we move Congo from here?
I'm thinking whatever it is called today, I don't know whether they call it a coup or something else, but for DR Congo, it will take a very tactful negotiator to move that country forward in the near term. They have a history of violent interventions in the political process. The very first coup, actually, in the modern history of Congo was back in 1965. It was Joseph Kasavubu, who was removed by Joseph Kabila. Mobutu. They are Josephs, I don't know why. There's Joseph Kasavubu, Joseph Mobutu, Joseph Kabila.
Yes, Kabila.
And by the way, they succeeded each other in that same way. No, it was Laurent.
Yes,
then
Laurent,
then
yeah,
Joseph.
then Joseph.
But I was trying to say that one of the things that we have said is a problem in African leadership structures. We have said, and this is really parroting the discourse originated in Western capitals. It is not true that longevity at the helm of political power is necessarily a bad thing. It is not true. History has people who have been there long and done well by the societies that they governed. In fairly recent history, we have the Lee Kuan, who was the Prime Minister of Singapore for 30 solid years, from about 59 to about 1990. He did well in terms of moving that country from where he found it. And of course, what he did even better was to entrench the formula. You see, there is a formula by which results are got. You cannot move a country from point A to point B by accident. He refined the mechanisms of delivering Singapore to a juggernaut in terms of being a financial center as we talk. This is a small little place with a small little population.
Not a lot of resources.
No, that has not kept them from towering head and shoulders over many countries with many times more people, many times more resources, even land area. But because this man had a very well laid out vision, even when his son took the helm, became the prime minister, and people were like, hey, this is not good for the highest office to be in the same family. And by the way, he left power not very long ago, having been there 20 years. His father was there 30, the son was there 20. But again, the son, moved the country even further. There were people who were concerned that because he's of the same blood, it is not necessarily a good way for Singapore to go. But he has proven them to be wrong. He's the one who has cemented the place of Singapore in terms of its financial muscle.
And then they are no longer interested in the seat as a family.
No. So much so that when he prepared to exit, the family declared in no uncertain terms that they had no interest whatsoever in politics. And so he passed the baton to a man who has long been a political player in Singapore, but he's not a member of the family. So what I'm trying to say is that being the member of the same family is not necessarily the problem. Being long in power is not necessarily a problem. Or being a short time in power is not necessarily an answer.
But the vision.
Yes, the vision, but especially passing it to others in a very clear and unambiguous fashion. So much so that even after Lee Kuan died in 2015, but he had given up power in 90, Singapore has never lost steam because his aspirations for the people of Singapore were very clear. Their selflessness was clear also. We are having a shortage of such people on this continent.
Maybe one.
I said before that in the case of DRC, Mobutu was there 30 years. He left DRC in a bigger mess than he found it. Kabila, who threw him out, was there about 5 years. Being there a short time did not help Congo either. He left it in a worse situation. So we are saying that when we have leaders who do not refine their visions such that the masses can buy into it, such that anybody can run with the ball, is the problem.
Okay.
Because in the case of Castro, the first Castro, he was there a long time. When he was ready to go,
Raul came in.
Raul, his brother, people were like, is this a family business? Raul did not stay there long. He has passed the baton to an outsider, if you will,
Yeah.
who is running the system seamlessly because the vision was refined and passed on to the masses, such that you can pick 10 people, 20, 30, 50 from anywhere in Cuba, and they can run it seamlessly. That is where the deficit is.
I think we were here talking about the issue of building institutions. And part of that is when we have strong institutions. We're talking about a strong man working with strong institutions. Now, you cannot have a strong man if you are not having strong institutions. And you cannot have only strong institutions without a strong man. Yeah, it happens because, like last time we said, for example, there are countries that have perfected their systems such that even an idiot can come, lead, and go, and the country can move on. And we have seen that from some countries. We can have your closing shot on DRC.
Now, my closing shot on DRC, I'll go back to what Nkrumah said in 1965 after the coup and the assassination of Patrice Lumumba. He said that the future of DRC lies within the people of DRC when you will successfully elect or come up with an arrangement that is going to work for them, not for the imperialists. When Laurent Désiré Kabila came in, because he was a Lumumbist, many people thought that he shared the same vision with Lumumba. But I think the time he spent in exile and also smuggling, he had lost that, that he had become a different Lumumbist. Now, during these elections, that even when the elections that ushered in the first transition, actually peaceful transition, that even when Tshisekedi came in through the back door, but the brand name Tshisekedi gave people hope that, well, maybe he could have learned from the father. We pray that this, in his second and last term, he should demonstrate that he learned something from the father.
Okay.
Yeah.
We are sure this is going to be his last time.
As of now, because as of now, if the constitution is not ever to be.
Predecessor overshot it by 3 solid years.
It's possible, but yeah, definitely. I think knowing him, he doesn't look like he's one person who would want to stay around for long. But sometimes, you know, politics, a lot of things change. But he has not, to me, proven that he would want to hang around for more than his term. And when his term ends, I'm sure maybe some other person who, and in fact, if he ends a term and some other person will come in and will build on what he has done, maybe like she said, 2 generations, 3 generations later on, maybe we would have a different Congo from the one we are seeing today. But like she put it, I think part of the challenges of leadership in the DRC is the vast country in terms of area. It's too big that you need a number of years to be able to reach every part of the country, but also you need a vision to be able to reach everyone in the DRC. Now, as we leave DRC, I think we can have a break in Nairobi and hear what people are saying. Of course, we were there talking about Gachagua and his vision for the next, trying to align himself with the right persons for the next, should be a vacancy. I'm sure the constitution will not be changed. So he will look at it like now a president has been said that once you are a vice president in Kenya, the next thing you have to be a president. And we have seen that from Kenyatta up to the Mzee up to today. So I think he could also be placing himself for that. But of course, I'm sure he also knows has a very big mountain to climb. But anyway, his president has just come back now from the US. And I think we say Karibu Mheshimiwa, he has come back, Rais, but with a lot of stories. Was it necessary that he had to hire the jet to fly him to the US? Was it okay for the country to do so because he had to go and sign a number of deals, agreements, and was it worth the cost for the Kenyans? Your take, Rachel.
I think we remain to see just how much he brought away from this particular visit. But I was considering the posturing that America is engaged in. Actually, it's almost an insult to the people of Africa. It's not an insult, but it's almost an insult. When people like this man of Ukraine, Zelensky, make their way to Washington, they come away with billions of dollars.
Immediately.
And you wonder, how can a person who you say represents the interests to you of a whole peoples, in other words, they even named Kenya a major non-NATO ally, whatever that means. If they are so major, we will see from the package that comes from that visit. Because if Ukraine alone can secure $60 billion, one-off, to stave off the Russian struggle. But this is not the first. I was even thinking more about the country that receives most American aid. And this has been true since 1948. I talked about their first child, Israel. Today, Israel annually receives $3.3 billion. Israel's population is not up to 10 million people. True to say, most of this aid goes to military issues, for obvious reasons. But the last I saw, in reference to this visit of Dr. Ruto, the Americans had committed themselves on 2 fronts: to develop one low-income housing project of $180 million, and then something else that is, I think, about maybe $250 million investment of some kind. That is less than 500 million. what kind of major partnership is this that we are talking about? Well, I'm talking about this insulting, the reason why Niger asked America to pack its 1,000 troops and leave its soil, the Prime Minister of Niger said the condescending attitude of the Americans dictating to them exactly with whom to keep company had finally led them to ask them to pack off out of that country. But we are saying, you roll out the red carpet. You say it is an official visit. You say this person is a pillar in your strategy for that part of the world, a whole continent. $500 million?
Of course, because you are looking at it in terms of why. But of course, the other question that as Africans we have to look at is why Kenya and why now?
I'm coming to that. One of the things that they have insisted upon is that Kenya is a reflection of their democratic values. Is that true?
No.
I'm talking about the insulting behavior of these people. They are talking about the stability of Kenya. Really? In this part of the world, no one is more stable than Tanzania. But it's because their policy is not into throwing themselves wholesale into the Western project. But even if you're pretending that this is a major ally, show it with the money. The major allies, we see how much you put on the table. So don't pretend we are major allies while doing the reverse. 2 years ago, they held an African, what was it?
American.
Where they made all sorts of commitments. None of them has come to light. None of them has been honored. It is as if this is a half step toward that. But we are saying, don't call us major and then act in such a way that we are minor. That is what insults are. Because if the other country, and these are just examples, if Ukraine in one sitting can secure nearly 100 billion, why would you call me for a state visit and give me this kind of money?
Yeah, because not many African states presidents have been to US for an official, for a state visit.
What is major about being in your living room for 3 hours? What is major about that?
Well, I think
because
my take on this is that the US will always treat their allies depending on the priorities, or depending on what actually you've laid down on table, what you've requested for. But I also want to get back to the issue of Ruto hiring a jet, President Ruto hiring a jet, private jet to the US. You see, there are a number of things that have happened, because when President Rais of Iran died in a plane crash, there was a photo that was circulating, because not long ago he was in Kenya, and he was received by the late General Ogola. And within a space of, the other one died in April, this one has died in May.
All of them are dead.
And they've all died with a chopper.
So then you
crash.
say you are saying you.
So Ruto, of course, had to be also security.
But choppers are not drones used to Washington. They are not choppers.
Of course, it is flying. So I,
but it will go by sea.
I believe that.
Yeah, but apparently, for me,
so
when I was looking at the issues, I didn't see anything wrong with hiring off the plane.
Yes.
The only problem maybe I would have had was that supposing he flew with the KQ.
When you after such an incident, you really have to use you have to use the plane. You're sure of your safety. So
yeah, but
on that we may not fault him.
But I'm not even faulting him.
As you say, we have to fault him. When did KQ crash? When was the last time?
The last time it crashed.
Because these are military planes. They were not KQ. So what is the aviation record of KQ?
Yeah, but again, his current presidential jet was bought in 1995 by President Moi. So you are looking at the thing that has aged over time. And definitely, I will agree with him that he needed a safer vessel to fly to the U.S. And I think the president jet, the current jet they have cannot fly even 10 hours. I'm sure. Maybe they will fly from here to Dubai, do the fueling, then fly again to some place before they reach Atlanta. But the issue was that maybe, for my concern, like I said, they could have used a commercial flight, because we are seeing most of our presidents using commercial flights. If you are more conscious about the safety of yourself, but also the safety of your people, if people are flying KQ are not safe, then there's no need for you
to be safe.
to be safe. That's what, for me, I would think. But your point.
Yeah, so President Ruto really quoting the US is cementing the relations, because US and Kenya have had long-standing relations.
Actually,
so much that
talking about cementing, one would also say that, you remember, Baba was complaining that Americans don't want him at all to be the president of Kenya. One could also think, kumbe, maybe.
It is true.
No, of course, those are now their internal politics. But now we are looking at this cementing that relation, because U.S. and Kenya have actually a strong relation, so much that actually one of the American presidents is believed to originate from Kenya, actually the father, that is Obama, who comes from Siaya. So that is a strong history. It's like America and Liberia, or America and Sierra Leone, because most of the Liberians and people in Sierra Leone came from America, and they've always kept that strong touch and strong relation.
Yeah, but you also believe that people have analyzed to say it is not only believed, but it is a fact that the former president comes from Siaya. At least his roots can be traced there. But that during his term of office, Kenya as a country, but also the rest of Africa, didn't benefit much in the relationship between Kenya and America, but also Africa and America. Maybe now that he's not there, Kenya stands a better chance of cutting deals with the Americas.
Yeah, they could. Africa could not have benefited. These are some of the things that we also need to change. I remember there was a time when people were saying that Moi was president of Kenya for 24 years, but the Kalenjins are still poor. You get it? So it's not that when your person is in things, you'll also end up being a rich person. I've always given an example of Busoga. You know, Busoga has a success story when it comes to women emancipation. Vice president, they've had a vice president, they've had the speaker, the first vice president, the first female speaker, the first female IGG, you get it. But when you go down there, you find that actually the rate at which young girls are dropping out of school because of early pregnancies is also alarming. Yet they have really role models. So at times, we had a district, Bushenyi.
Of course,
Bushenyi was called.
Emancipation doesn't stop you from getting pregnant.
That's what I'm saying, but they have people who are inspiring them. So at times, those kind of records are dysfunctional.
Sure.
Bushenyi was called a model district, Obotenem did Uganda village, but it had the highest rates of malnutrition. You get it? So at times these are some of the things that really you'll never. So Obama being president and Kenya, and more so you look at the Jaluo nation. the Luo in Kenya, they are actually doing badly. They are not as developed as the Kalenjins and the Kikuyu. You'd imagine that 10 years, 8 years of Obama would have transformed them. So these are some of the things that we
Sure,
really,
yeah.
we really
You know, there's
yes,
that
yes.
belief that once we are there, we have now reached, we're in the things.
So when your person is there and he doesn't work hard, and you don't work hard as an individual, you're not going to change your
Yeah,
life.
so-
I think even before we leave this point, there is something I really want to emphasize. That what I mean by posturing and near insulting behavior. When you call someone major, and then they come to your house and you give them trinkets, that's not good manners. It is just like the missionaries came, or those so-called explorers of old, and people exchanged land for mirrors and beads and other such
And spices.
trinkets and spices. We are at it again. If someone is a major ally, and I really will not leave that point, the biggest direct investor in Kenya is not the US. It is Britain. The second largest direct investor in Kenya is Mauritius. This US is the third. So, in what way is this person a major ally? We are saying the money follows where your heart is. These people have been telling us things that they don't believe, and they are still doing it.
Maybe they now need to believe, but
No,
also,
no,
as
no.
you talk about that, of course, the other issue is that South Africa has been one of the major allies of US also. But now you realize that South Africa seems to be moving out of that line, and with the love
BRICS.
they have with the Putin.
Russia,
But-
the BRICS.
Yeah, but also now you are seeing that they are the ones who are even able to take Israel to court, and of course by extension you are injuring someone's ego and relationship. So I think it is also now talking of posturing to find the other person alternatives on the African continent where you will now use as your peg boys, not peg boys, because these are sovereign states, but who you will use as a friend in case of a problem. You can call, say, hey man, where are you? Can we have a yap? So that is
But that is not a problem. Having friends is not a problem. But how do you treat them?
Yeah, but as a friend, if you enjoy the treatment that I give you when you come to my house, and I put a mat for you to sit, and you're enjoying it, so be it.
No, but we're saying the people who know how this game goes. Because he talked about the ability to make this work to your advantage. In other words, it should not be, the clapping place is not that Ruto is in the White House. But that is unfortunately where we end. We
Sure.
become excited by the photo opportunity. But that is not the essence of the matter. What can you actually wrestle out of this person?
But even again, at the overall thinking of it, this issue of up to when?
I mean, really. Why? You know,
If I'm
just a
your
moment.
partner,
Which I'm talking about, how do you treat your friends? These people, when someone says you're a major ally, it is not true. Your behavior shows 2 years ago, you convened all African heads of state, almost all, maybe except Eritrea, I don't know. There were only a handful. Who did not come to Washington? We have always wondered, if it is an African conference, why is it not in Kampala?
on the continent
or
of
in
Africa,
Miami, or
sincerely,
in Lagos? What is African about going, all of us coming to Washington?
to someone who's sitting room.
That is the first insult. But that aside, over those 2 years, you promised you would make us more of a priority. We expected that in Yochi Sanje you would make it here. Has this man ever come here? Biden?
I don't think.
Yeah, because really, I agree with
So
you
what kind of
entirely.
major friendships are
I
these?
agree with you on that one. If this is Africa, and if this is who you are, if
An
you,
Africa summit.
yeah, if you want us to be your friends,
And I'm
and you are calling this an African summit,
That man, Biden, I think he has been to Ukraine, hasn't he?
Yeah,
The
yeah.
surprise visit.
yeah.
Those ones are major. He has been to Israel.
Now, let's move on. With that, we will continue from there, but I think our quarrels with the African leadership will never stop when it comes to why would you call all of us in your place and you cannot even have the courtesy to say next time, because in diplomacy there's what we call reciprocation, that you do me, I also do you. If you have come to your house, it is only good manners and courtesy that you also come to what? To my house. But if if I'm to be coming whenever you want me, just at the clip of the and I have also to run, I think that becomes a problem, not only for Ruto, but I think for most of the Africans. We need to style up. That we can also say, man, this time we are not coming.
My calendar
If you have your
is booked for the rest of
please,
24.
you also have time and come down here and we eat cassava and we eat posho and we eat matoke, so that you also know the Africa we are talking about. But still some of these leaders in some of these countries believe that we still stay in trees, fortunately, unfortunately. Now, one of those people who could have helped us do that was Zuma.
Really?
Yes, as the African president, he had all the time on this continent that could have done a lot of things, because you know, as ANC and South Africa was coming out from apartheid, there was that sympathy. When after Mzee Mandela left, of course, it was understood after the long time of incarceration, he was not expected to do much as a president, and of course, he definitely didn't do much. And there came the man who followed him.
Mbeki.
Mbeki also didn't do much, maybe because he was too much of
A diplomat.
a diplomat, and he was not the politician they expected. Then it brings Zuma. You know, Zuma is a double sword, is double-edged sword, but at one time was called Zupta. Because of his relationship with the Gupta family, definitely, and that was the major thing that brought him down. And last time we were talking here in passing about the President Zuma, and if we are talking about the power hangover in Africa and what is now the emerging issues on the continent of Africa, you cannot pass eyes on Zuma. He is rejected. Court says no, you cannot stand as an MP, and by extension it means you cannot be a president, because in South Africa, to be a president you must have passed, won an election of a constituency as an MP, and they are saying you can't because you were found guilty and your sentence was 15 months, and in South African constitution you only need 12 months and you'll never stand again until you have fully served your sentence. So Zuma can stand, but that will be after the next this election that is starting next week. So as we speak now, legally he's out of race, and his party will be participating maybe alongside in other areas, but not as a president. How do we find this in the African context?
No, the issue of Zuma, of course, Zuma is an example of actually leadership in Africa. Because you see Mandela, I think the time he was, because we were told that Mandela, the time he was in prison, incarceration, the last 5 years he was being prepared for the role he would play after prison. You come to Thabo Mbeki, of course, as a diplomat, you see, didn't have much scandals, and he moved within the system that he had found there. But Zuma is an example of the African mindset.
The politician.
The African, really. That once an African, you get into a position, and the Baganda bring it well. Yalido wa president. So you another idea. Ideally against the you've gone to eat, and that's what he did. That in eating you have to amass what President Museveni called the primitive accumulation of what of wealth. That you end up. That is now that is to show that you've arrived. That you must own streets, you must own this, you must own that, and that is how corruption comes in.
Actually, it was what Rachel was talking about, route from a hustler
Yes.
to a flying president.
To a private, yes. So these are issues. Now, on the issue of the US, I think you had also talked about it. I would maybe also to conclude on that, is that the African presidents have shown that they are available. You know,
they're lightweight.
they are available, definitely. In other words, when it comes to their country issues, they are always too busy to be accessed. But when it comes to the big man calling, they are always available. And also,
Even
you
before
don't
you finish that point,
yes.
there was a very galling statement that I read, and it said President Biden, this year, over the last 1 year, he has only placed one call to an African president. Can you imagine that? We should be clapping?
No, I think it's
And that was to
it's
Dr. Ruto. Really?
it's a question of priorities. Magufuli demonstrated that you can run your country without
while home.
Without when you're home, and he really demonstrated it, that you can really go about the affairs of your country without going begging. And he actually successfully did it. So I think also it's high time that African leaders can adopt that. Then on the issue of Zuma, I'm sure, yes, he may be out of the race, but his MK party is going to damage the fortunes of ANC in the general election. Because I'm sure he has a very strong following in KwaZulu, in his backyard of KwaZulu Natal, and the rate at which people there are decamping to the MK is actually very, very, very high. So the Zuma is going to be a very big thorn to ANC, that either after Ramaphosa, if the president will come in after Ramaphosa, we'll need to bridge that gap. You remember during the fight against apartheid, the Zulu fought alone under their Inkatha, under their king. Yes, and they came up with a part of Inkatha Freedom Party. But when Mandela became president, he brought Buthelezi, Chief Buthelezi, as their leader in cabinet. That even at one time when he left the country, he did not leave it in charge of either Thabo Mbeki or de Klerk, who were the deputies, but he actually said, look here now, Buthelezi, you are the president for this. So trying to bring them back. So you'll need such a leader who will actually bring back the Zulu nation into ANC.
Yeah, but also it's true that ANC will be damaged because, first of all, it is in a very bad state now. Needs a lot of revamping, the party. But also, Zuma himself somehow has lost popularity back at home. Maybe that will also help ANC to build from there. That Zuma of today is not the Zuma of the 2000, because he was a president from 2009 up to 2018. And that was a good time for him to be a president. But this damage on him, and it was a very light, because this man has been involved in a number of scandals which were even far bigger than this one. This one was originating from contempt of court, of course, during the hearing, and he was accusing even the chairman of the commission, who is his Muko apparently. But what I think ANC now needs to do is to disassociate itself from what is going on, that it is not the one pushing for the lockout of Zuma, but also that the ANC is not doing very well, because remember President Ramaphosa at some point they had there were also efforts trying to impeach him, and they also wanted to throw him out like they did to the
Zuma and Mbeki.
to Zuma and Mbeki. So the ANC also is either becoming notorious or trying to play the political righteousness, and in so doing, it also needs to style up, because should they fail to do that, Zuma is going to be popular, and if he becomes popular, then it means that the whole of his backyard is going to be taken. But also that it is also possible that ANC, this coming election, if should all the political parties, opposition in South Africa, unite as one, they will throw out ANC. But of course, that's not going to happen. So ANC will win this election, but I think it will win with a very damaged image.
That's true.
But also, I think one of the things that may not have been well appreciated by many outside South Africa is that this man has had a very long history at the helm of the powers, in many power centers within ANC. In other words, he did not fluke the presidency. First of all, he's said to have joined that movement as a teenager. He's known to have served many years on account of the liberation cause. We know also that at one point he served as the head of intelligence of ANC. The man has even threatened from time to time to spill their secrets. Can you imagine that? Blackmail, anyway. This man has also been the deputy, as far back as 1997, he became the deputy leader of ANC, deputy president in 1999. So by the time he became the president in 2007, he had really gone through the ranks.
Yeah, he was a good guy. He's
So it is disappointing that at 82, he's acting like a big baby, trying to pour the porridge.
Sense of entitlement.
entitlement, talking about
Yes,
policy of
yes,
entitlement. Yes.
Yes, he's trying to kick the cup of tea all over this nice carpet that is governance in that country. They have their issues, but I think they have tried to be reasonable in terms of governance related matters. So it is unfortunate that the 82-year-old has reverted to kindergarten practices, including blackmail. I told you he threatened to spill some of their secrets. But that aside, he has not been good at learning his lessons. This entitlement has blinded him. This man believes that he's ANC and ANC is him. Even
Not NSC, but he's South African.
Exactly.
Yeah, because now he has left the NCP.
even when he was ousted, he still believes he even believes he's the Zulu nation, which is erroneous. But this particular gentleman will not definitely oil the path to good governance in that country. He's busy ruining his legacy. There are some people who would have settled on the image of the liberator and forgiven his excesses. There are many people who would have forgiven. This man, by the way, he even was taken to courts of law, or at least challenged legally, in terms of accusations that he had raped someone.
That was before he became president.
Yes. So these legal matters that led to being barred from contesting are not the first. The man has had many, many issues, including that one, but which never really saw the end in terms of legal finality. So for me, the man has made a big contribution to the ANC footprint in that country. The man has made his contribution in terms of even settling the violence that was that was just before the period of independence. There was that violence that flared up. He was instrumental in controlling the worst spillovers in Zulu-Natal. So it is not true that Zuma has always been a problem for South Africa. But in the closing years of his political career, and I believe he's there at 82, he's causing many to forget that he was once a positive influence. Because now he has reverted, as I said, to kindergarten behavior. He's kicking the chairs, and he's using his pencil to color the walls, and he's doing terrible things. He should be the one ensuring that all of South Africa can keep ANC in a strong position for years to come.
Yes, that's true.
There are many who say, even he knows he could not have won an election. Even he knows. But why is he dismembering the thing that made him? That is retrogressive behavior, which is a very unfortunate way to end a colorful chapter.
No, when it comes to Zuma, there are two issues that we need to really look at. That, as I said, he's a summary of the African leader.
The African man.
Yeah, the African man.
And his excesses.
Yeah, yes. Of course, you know, most Africans, especially when you come to the African traditional setup, that accumulation of wealth, power, wives, that's what made an African man, a strong African man in the village and so on. So he's the typical of this African village chief, anybody, you get it. Now, but also as he is, as she is saying,
which is not a problem, anyway.
Yes, but in the modern setting, it is. Yeah, because his coming to power actually was through radicalism. Yes, radicalism. That he had the youth wing by that time under Malema and the many supporting him against Thabo Mbeki, was seen as a diplomat and so on and so forth. So he also came he came in as a liberator of the revolutionaries, who were claiming that Mbeki had abandoned them, because they thought that really Mbeki and Mandela, you know, there was a time Mugabe was actually telling South Africans that, yes, much as I have challenges in my country, but at least the people of Zimbabwe have land. But for you, your founding father left you with what? With proverbs. Yes, so the South Africans, you were given proverbs, and the revolutionaries, you were given proverbs. For us here, those who participated in the Chimurenga secured some land for themselves. So when Zuma came in as a radical, people expected that you're going to see land being grabbed, given back. For I actually got from the white settlers to the revolutionaries. Actually, which never happened. Instead, actually, he started enriching himself. And it is also said that at one time he had even wanted to use the military to hang on to power. And they told him, look here, in our country we've not had that precedence where the military actually interferes with civilian work, where military determines who becomes the president. So you can see he's that kind of person, that at times that he always wants to have what he wants by whatever means. And that's why he's acting the way he is.
Yeah, I know. For me, when you talk about the African man in
the errant African man
is very strong. But maybe the man also sometimes drives him overboard. And unfortunately, I think it could have been well understood if he said, "Look, like Nani did, said, for me, I am not going to contest, because he couldn't contest because there were cases against him, Sonko." And then he said, let the other man contest. I thought Zuma could have done like that, knowing that there's a lot in his backyard. He would have said, well, I'm forming a new political party. For if he wanted to undermine, yes, to undermine ANC, to say, look, we are providing alternative to the ANC, I think we would even had more people. But now he wanted to be him and him alone at the helm. And the people are saying, no, I think enough. You are not taking us. But I'm sure this could also mark his dive into the deep end, because if he's going to take another 5 years to be able to come back. By the time of 5 years, a lot would have happened. And his only prayer to Virgin Mary is that the president that comes performs so badly that
Then Ramaphosa.
rather than Ramaphosa, that
Then at 87 you'll come back. Wow.
Thank you so much for being with us this morning on this cold morning, at least in Kampala. We started with rain, and thank you for being with us on behalf of my co-panelists, and thank you at least giving us your time in your sitting room, on your phone, wherever you are following us from, and also thank the production team that has been working behind the scenes to ensure that this program come your way. Until Friday is when we shall be back with another interesting discussion about the issues that concern us as the people of Africa, and we will definitely be giving you opportunity. I think next week will begin early, so that you can also send in your views. I have some that have already sent us their views, and I think next week we'll begin with those that we already have to share and see how far we can go in making this continent of Africa a more beautiful, more reliable, and more trusted against all the odds that we face. Thank you so much, and until next week, I say have a nice weekend, and God bless you.
Of the day on UBC.
One-on-one with Michael Jordan Lukomwa.
A weekly face-to-face conversation focusing on accountability, inspiration, information, and sensitization of the public from the various sources, such as inspirational profiles.
Having a disability is not inability.
Every Friday night.
The credit in the fight against COVID.
My role as the owner of the country is not to, be preoccupied by giving credit to my servant.
We have said that if we are to talk to General Museveni, there must be certain conditions in place.
Is it true that you paid 5 million shillings to MPs that voted for?
Why hassle for a loan when you've got MTN Momo? Use the Momo app or dial *165*5# for all quick loans. Choose from the different loan options from our partners and get one that works for you. Together, we're unstoppable.
PDM, changing lives.
.3 Kampala, 96.9 Mbale, 95.7 Jinja, 98.6 Soroti. You are all covered.
UBC Butego. UBC Butego.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Uplift Official. Today's video is particularly important as we delve into natural ways to support cancer prevention. While there's no guaranteed method to prevent cancer, incorporating certain lifestyle choices can contribute to overall well-being. Prevention. Number 1. Maintain a healthy diet. Fill your plate with a rainbow of fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and lean proteins. These nutrient-packed foods provide antioxidants and essential nutrients that support overall health. Next up is regular exercise. Engage in activities you enjoy, whether it's walking, jogging, or dancing. Exercise not only helps maintain a healthy weight, but also boosts your immune system and promotes overall well-being.